I'm doing today is a couple-fold. I mean, firstly, I was given amazing opportunities. I was 29 years old when I was asked to join the executive of the JSE. At the time I joined the JSE, how many people do you think work at the JSE today? How many people do you think? Roundabout. 500 people work at the JSE today. What percent do you think are women? 52%. 37 years old average, 60% black staff. Okay, that's the JSE today. When I joined the JSE when I was 29, there wasn't a single woman in senior management. There were almost nobody with degrees. The average age was probably 40 something. So it's a very different organization that I am in today. So why am I doing what I'm doing today? I was given amazing opportunities at a very young age by incredible people who were brave enough to trust a 29-year-old to do to help evolve this old-fashioned institution into a world-class, modern, electronically driven institution. I have to say I didn't start as a CEO, obviously. I put my hand up and I was given opportunities to do things along the line, and so I've had amazing opportunities to succeed and as many opportunities to fail, which I've managed to do quite successfully too, and learned my lessons along the way, and eventually I've managed to be in this position and I love every moment. You know about the JSE, you've got the logo, you've got the 3 letters, and it's like Woolworths, you sort of know what it is, you know. But what is the JSE? In layman's terms, I like to describe you're very gently telling me to do this. I describe the JSE as a supermarket. And if you think about my supermarket, I've got to have interesting product on the shelf. All right, those products is what we call listed companies. You won't go to a supermarket that is near you. You won't go to a supermarket unless it has the right product. You won't go to the supermarket if the product goes fraught in 3 days' time. It has to have sell-by dates. You have to make sure the product meets its sell-by dates. So we call those listings requirements. We set requirements so that companies to be on our supermarket shelf must actually meet our quality assurance standards, and they mustn't go off. So we call those continuing obligations. Companies need to publish their results, publish price-sensitive information. This is all part of the quality assurance on our supermarket shelf. So now you've got the product. Now people want to come and buy the product. So we use technology in our supermarket to make it possible for you to buy. But if you think about a supermarket like Macro, all right, you want to be able to then when you go to do your shopping, which is probably one bucket full of shopping if you all get together, okay, you want to be able to park somewhere close, you want to be able to get into Macro, you want to be able to get your stuff and get out and pay properly. You want to know that if you've bought one whole set of Cokes, you're not paying for 3. You've got to have technology to work that out. But there are also people who go to Macro with these massive trucks, and they want to be able to back into the store and buy 27 things of Coke and 40-something things of pallets of this and that. Okay, so you've got that's called wholesale in my life, and you're called retail in our life. You've got to cater for both in our supermarket. And to do that in our supermarket, we run very sophisticated technology that enables the wholesale guys to back into our store and do what they need to do quickly, and allows the retail guys to buy what they need to buy cheaply and efficiently and get their stuff done. So if you think about the supermarket, good product, good technology, our supermarket has got to be, you're not going to go to a supermarket when you get to the supermarket, you drive over potholes, you get hijacked, it's a pretty unpleasant environment to get to your supermarket. So we need to make sure that our environment is available and attractive to our customers. And what is that environment? That environment is listings requirements. It's the regulatory environment so that we build a supermarket that you can trust. And it's also the political and the economic environment. So we spend a lot of time running this supermarket, talking to political and policymakers, saying, hey, hold on. We're running this great supermarket, but you're making the neighborhood in which our supermarket is operating too tricky for people to come to us. There are too many potholes. You're going to get hijacked. Problem. So it's really a high-class, highly sophisticated supermarket. And assuming that the EFF isn't marching, but generally the day has a whole lot of components to it. I mean, if you think about it, we have a whole lot of different stakeholders, and we're running a business. So a day in my life probably starts with me in the office very early. Hopefully I'll have a cappuccino by then, and then I've probably got 1 or 2 internal meetings so that I can I understand what happened over the weekend if we were doing tech implementations and the like. We often do tech testing on the weekends. So if you're studying technology, anybody, remember you don't have a weekend in your life, all right? So that's an important realization. And so we probably start with some internal meetings. If I can get to walk on one of the floors so people can see me, that's a good thing. Mondays I always have my executive meetings, 10 till 2. And then I've probably got outside client meetings. If we're listing, I'll host the listing event. If I've got a meeting with the minister or ratings agencies, that'll fit in somewhere in between. Very varied. But I can tell you that what's in my diary for Monday is probably not what's going to happen, because your day just moves according to what has happened, not only in our business, but in the country. What's less exciting about the job is that, if you have a major tech problem, that obviously is seriously problematic for all of our stakeholders. So it matters that we're up all the time. I don't like that. I find, but it's what you do. It's actually a challenge to manage it in a way that gets us through it properly. And I think the hard discussions you have to have with your team about raising the performance game, but not necessarily being able to pay people more, because there isn't always more money to go around. It's a question of how you do what you do better, and balancing those honestly, transparently. Those are very tough conversations. The right conversations, but very tough to have. I had a lunch once at the JSE with a whole lot of women, and one of the women around the table asked the other people around the table who had been in a leadership position at school. These are all adult women. Invariably, every single one of them had had a leadership position at school. I think there is an element of some people prefer to lead and some people just are terrible at lead, don't want to lead. And some people would prefer to lead and are really terrible leaders. But not everybody wants to lead. My definition of leadership is, I think leadership is part strategic tea leaf reading. So in other words, understanding what's out there and distilling it and saying, I think the direction looks like this. And getting you don't set the direction on your own as a leader, but getting people to agree, to work with you to define that. So strategic tea leaf reading is a critical component of that. If you are a person for whom you get stuck in detail, it's very, very difficult to lead, because it's too noisy for your followers. You actually have to be the person to step back, and you need detailers. You need those guys. They're very valuable. But those people must sometimes also step back and say, maybe I'm not the person to call the rallying cry. And then that brings me to the second part of leadership, which I think is cheerleading. Getting people to believe that it's possible. The most amazing things can happen if you believe it's doable. If you don't think it's doable, and they're all only ever problems, you'll never get there. So the funnest part is to actually persuade people that it's possible to do something they never thought was possible. And you'll be amazed what actually you're able to unlock. So those are the critical for me.